President Putin, we've discussed a lot of geopolitics. We'll stick to a bit of that in a while, but let's talk about your journey. You're a man from the intelligence community. How would you rate intelligence agencies today? Which one do you think is the best? I'm sure you'll say Russia, but I'm still saying, which one is the second best then? And how does CIA fare?
Well, there are several powerful intelligence services in the world. There is CIA and our Soviet and Russian intelligence. There is, as it is well known, a very efficient service, Mossad, Israeli intelligence. Many countries of the world have tradition of intelligence services. You know, I think it's better not to give evaluation to the efficiency of other people's intelligence. I'm happy with the quality of work of our intelligence service.
Знаете, мне, наверное, лучше не давать оценок эффективности работы чужих разведок. Качеством работы своей я доволен.
Okay, fair. So we would like to, because this is a rare opportunity and we get to interact with you. We want to understand what shaped Vladimir Putin. And as we peep into your early years, we've read a little about your KGB days when you were working in Germany, and then you moved on to St. Petersburg and Moscow, where you worked with Mr. Yeltsin. What actually shaped the man you are today, the leader you are today? Which were the days?
My family, the family that I lived in and that I was born into. My parents, my closest people. I think that everyone is shaped primarily by our closest surroundings. Naturally, the social situation around, the colleagues, and, as you have fairly noted, that work in the intelligence service because it has strict discipline, strict ideology, and primarily has to do with the defense of the interests of motherland. And that was the entire point of the intelligence service of the Soviet Union, and I lived in that system for many years.
Связанная прежде всего с защитой интересов Родины. На это направлена вся работа была советской внешней разведки. И я жил в этой среде много-много лет.
I was watching one of your interviews where I think you were interacting with school children. And one of the children asked you, one girl there asked you, what has been the most shattering experience of your life? And you said, the disintegration of USSR. How did that affect you? And what is your vision of Russia?
It had an impact in the sense that we always need to very carefully look at our every step, and we need to understand the consequences of that. That's number one. Number two, it is very important not only for the former Soviet Union, but it applies also to Russia. What was the conclusion that I came to? It is that the Soviet Union, at a certain point of time, was in such a state that its leadership, and possibly even ordinary citizens, believed that it was so big, so great, that nothing, ever, under any circumstances would happen to it. And this idea of grandeur is the point when a country starts to make one mistake after another, thinking that everything is all right. Yes, we made a mistake here and was a small failure there, but we're so big that it will always pass, we'll survive. And the number of mistakes grows like a snowball and is getting harder to manage that. I see the same as happening with some other countries today. Therefore, I'm keeping an eye.
А количество ошибок нарастает, как снежный ком, и потом с этим очень трудно справляться. Так же происходит, я смотрю, и в некоторых других странах мира сегодня. Поэтому я внимательно...
Are you going to name them?
Нет.
Okay, but we go back to USSR, sir, because you talked about how one mistake was rolling into another. Who do you hold responsible for this situation? I mean, you're talking about people also who thought that probably it'll never happen with us. There'll never be any disintegration. But I'm sure you must have seen the Gorbachev years. You saw how Yeltsin went on. Whom do you hold responsible? What was the phase in which decisively USSR was disintegrating, breaking up?
Здесь я бы не стал сейчас искать виноватых, менее, более виноватых. В целом сложилась такая система.
I would not want to pinpoint the guilty and who is to blame more. In general, it was the system that turned out not to be viable. We need to recognize that and we need to think about it. We should not look for specific culprits, but we need to think how to create a system that will not simply protect itself, but develop. That's the point. And if such system is in place, it would be self-sufficient, autonomous, and effective.
Are you looking at reintegration then?
Интеграцию чего? Советского Союза?
Of the Soviet Union?
Нет, конечно, это просто исключено.
Reintegration of what? Of the Soviet Union?
Бессмысленно. Вы знаете, есть еще вопрос целесообразности.
No, of course not. That's simply not on the table. We do not have such a goal and it won't make any sense. There is also a question of rationality. It does not make sense in current circumstances because it would critically change the national and religious composition of the Russian Federation. It does not make sense.
You should tell that to some of the Western papers who keep writing about how you really want the old Soviet Union back, because that's what they keep doing.
Я не буду им говорить, знаете почему? Потому что они все равно не хотят слушать то, что я говорю. Они хотят слушать.
I won't tell it to them. You know why? Because they still do not want to listen to what I'm saying. They want to listen to themselves only, or they want to comment on what I'm saying the way they like it.
Write a lot about saying that you want to build the empire back.
Да, они это делают для того, чтобы напугать свое население. Они злоупотребляют своим.
Yes, they do that in order to scare their population. They abuse their monopoly in the global media. It is called manipulation of the public opinion, and the goal is to justify their aggressive policy towards Russia. I don't see another goal.
Right.
Then if you're different, how would you, Vladimir Putin, summarize Vladimir Putin's life and ideology?
No, I think it is too early for me to summarize my life. I have some work ahead of me.
I like that.